Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to Windward Buddhist Temple's Remembrance Service. My name is Miles Yamamoto and I will be your MC. We will begin with the ringing of the temple bell or kansho that signifies the beginning of the temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seats. Please rise for the meditation, followed by the chanting of the Vandana and Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and in English. This can be found in the red Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 7.
Buddha, for God
Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda.
Please be seated. We will now have the Sanbujo led by Reverend Brennan, which can be found on page 9 of the red Jodo Shinshu service book. We will now have the remembrance of those individuals and pets who have passed away in August, September, and October in a year.
We gather here today with whom we have karmic ties, adorning the shrine of the Buddha and chanting the profound teachings to express and acknowledge our indebtedness and gratitude to the Buddha. Let us remember the past members with warmth and appreciation of the Sangha who carefully and lovingly nurtured us to our present state. May we be mindful of our indebtedness to them all so that they may continue to influence our lives.
The names of deceased will be announced. Please go forward and offer incense. Reverend Brennan will then hit the gong, and we announce the next name. After the last name is called and incense is offered, she will hit the gong several times, and she will go directly into the Sutra, Junirai, which can be found in the Red Service Book on page 59. Janet Hiramoto. Wataru Tashiro. Eiichi Kanda. Chieko Nishida, Kazunari Nishida, Hatsuyo Takashiba, Hobuo Hirota, Wallace Sumikawa. Gordon Ijima, Lori Ijima Sato, Donna Yonomine. Patricia Kiruguchi, Mark Fujimoto, Lawrence Fukumoto, Stanley Sekimoto, Edith Ichimasa, Yasunoke Yanagisawa. Nane Hanayo Ishima. Yoshiro, Jun, and Sunao Harada.
Keishu Tenin Shokugyo Amida Seryo Sokuson Zai Himi Mewanako Muryo Bushi Shuineu Konjiki Shinjo Nyosen no Shabata Gyo Nyozobu Muomoku Jo Nyaku Shorenge Koga Chorai Midason Menzen Enjonyo Mangats Iko Nyunyo Senichigat Shonyo Tenku Kushira Koga Chorai Mirason Kanon Chodai Kanchuju Shuju Meo So Shogun Nobuku Gedo Makeu 小さり悪徳小さい将来みだそん実法名門菩薩衆無量小魔女三段一生修上が力重古が将来みだそん根体保険知性系前言少女名大さおひざ上如線の子が将来みだそん実法将来勝負し権限人図し安楽戦後尊厳職業子が将来みだそん小無常無我と如水願伝領路一種説法無名字子が将来みだそん非尊無説無悪名役無如に悪道不修に死心教義尊子が将来みだそん無有尊無量勉強無所修悪死し往生不退死菩提子が将来みだそん我先非尊功徳寺修善無変如海水小逆前言少女者小
Please rise for the recitation of Golden Chain of Love found in the red Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 126. I am a link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love become strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda. Please continue to stand for the Gatha, Children in Japan, in the brown Praises of the Buddha book on page 29. Please be seated. Our speaker for today is our very own Reverend Barbara Brennan.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, time is flying, isn't it? Oh, my goodness. as I was sitting there, I realized that the smoke from the incense comes my way. So I go, no wonder I'm going all the time. So maybe I'll have to wear a mask next time. Please join me in kansho. Respectfully, with sincerity, I express and celebrate by joy and the profound benefit of receiving the noble teachings. Namo Amida Butsu. Reverend Gyome Kubose, this is his book, Everyday Suchness. If you have an older copy, it's going to probably be tan or brown. And my older copy is actually falling apart. So I'm so happy they reproduced the new one. He's written so many books, and the articles in here are short with different topics, and they're all from his sermons that he gave at Chicago Buddhist Temple for many years. And finally, one member said, you know, Reverend Kubose, why don't you bring it together into one book? So that's how we came up with this book. There's also a book called The Center Within, American Buddhism, which is a very short, concise pamphlet, and it's great for people who aren't familiar with Buddhism to know what's in that book. And there's some other ones here that I have no idea. I haven't checked them out yet, so that's a goal. Today, I'm going to share a true story about relationships, family, appreciating the little things in life. It's from a different place and a different time, about commitment to each other, support, understanding with each other. This story reflects kindness, consideration, personal goals, love of family, everything that we can relate to. This story takes place in the few decades ago that we aren't as familiar with, like in the 30s. But it has much to share with all of us, including humor. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoy sharing it with you. It's one of these stories that you find out about it and you print it up and you file it for a future time. This story is called No Left Turns. Many of you may already know about it. It's a story of an aging couple told by their son, who was president of NBC News at this time. This is a wonderful piece by Michael Gartner, editor of newspapers Large and Small and president of NBC News. In 1997, he won the Pulitzer Prize for editorial writing. It is well worth reading, and a few good chuckles are guaranteed. So here goes. My father never drove a car. Well, that's not quite right. I should say I never saw him drive a car. He quit driving in 1927 when he was 25 years old, and the last car he drove was a 1926 Whippet. I've never heard of a Whippet, but back in 1926. In those days, he told me when he was in his 90s, to drive a car, you had to do things with your hands, to do things with your feet, look every which way, and I decided you could walk through life and enjoy it or drive through life and miss it. At which point, my mother, a sometimes salty Irish woman, chimed in. Oh, baloney, she said, he hit a horse. Well, my father said, there was that too. So my brother and I grew up in a household without a car. The neighbors all had cars. The Collingses next door had a green 1941 Dodge. The Van Lanninghams across the street, a gray 1936 Plymouth. And the Hobsons, 2 doors down, a black 1941 Ford. But we had none. My father, a newspaper man in Des Moines, would take the streetcar to work and often as not walk the 3 miles home. If he took the streetcar home, my mother, brother, and I would walk the 3 blocks to the streetcar stop, meet him, and walk home together. My brother David was born in 1935, and I was born in 1938. And sometimes at dinner, we'd ask, how come all the neighbors had cars, but we had none? No one in the family drives, my mother would explain, and that was that. But sometimes my father would say, but as soon as one of you boys turns 16, we'll get one. It was as if he wasn't sure which one of us would turn 16 first. But sure enough, my brother turned 16 before I did, so in 1951, my parents bought a used 1950 Chevrolet from a friend who ran the parts department at a Chevy dealership downtown. It was a 4-door, white model, stick shift, fender skirts, loaded with everything. And since my parents didn't drive, it more or less became my brother's car. Having a car but not being able to drive didn't bother my father, but it didn't make any sense to my mother. So in 1952, when she was 43 years old, she asked a friend to teach her to drive. She learned in a nearby cemetery, the place where I learned to drive the following year, and where a generation later, I took my 2 sons to practice driving. The cemetery probably was my father's idea. Who can your mother hurt in the cemetery? I remember him saying. For the next 45 years or so, until she was 90, my mother was the driver in the family. Neither she nor my father had any sense of direction, but he loaded up on maps, though they seldom left the city limits, and appointed himself as navigator. It seemed to work. Still, they both continued to walk a lot. My mother was a devout Catholic, and my father an equally devout agnostic, an arrangement that didn't seem to bother either of them through their 75 years of marriage. Yes, 75 years, and they were deeply in love the entire time. He retired when he was 70, and nearly every morning for the next 20 years or so, he would walk with her the mile to St. Augustine's Church. She would walk down and sit in the front pew, and he would wait in the back until he saw which of the parish's 2 priests was on duty that morning. If it was the pastor, my father then would go out and take a 2-mile walk, meeting my mother at the end of the service and walking her home. If it was the assistant pastor, he'd take just a 1-mile walk and then head back to the church. He called the priests Father Fast and Father Slow. After he retired, my father almost always accompanied my mother whenever she drove anywhere, even if he had no reason to go along. If she were going to the beauty parlor, he'd sit in the car and read, or go take a stroll. Or, if it was summer, have her keep the engine running so he could listen to the Cubs game on the radio. In the evening, then, when I'd stop by, he'd explain, the Cubs lost again. The millionaire on second made a bad throw to the millionaire on first. So the multimillionaire on third, he scored. If she were going to the grocery store, he would go along to carry the bags out and to make sure she loaded up on ice cream. As I said, he was always the navigator. And once, when he was 95 and she was 88, still driving, he said to me, "Do you want to know the secret of a long life?" "I guess so," I said, knowing it probably would be something bizarre. "No left turns," he said. "What?" I asked. "No left turns," he repeated. "Several years ago, your mother and I read an article that said most accidents that old people are in happen when they turn left in front of oncoming traffic. As you get older, your eyesight worsens and you can lose your depth perception. So your mother and I decided never again to make a left turn. What? I said again. No left turns, he said. Think about it. 3 rights are the same as a left, and that's a lot safer. So we always make 3 rights. You're kidding, I said, and I turned to my mother for support. No, she said, your father is right. We make 3 rights, it works. But then she added, except when your father loses count. I was driving at the time and I almost drove off the road as I started laughing. Loses count, I asked. Yes, my father admitted, that sometimes happens. But it's not a problem. You just make 7 rights and you're okay. I couldn't resist. Do you ever go for 11? I asked. No, he said. If we miss it at 7, we just come home and call it a day. Besides, nothing in life is so important it can be put off another day or another week. My mother was never in an accident, but one evening she handed me her car keys and said she had decided to quit driving. That was in 1999 when she was 90. She lived for 4 more years until 2003. My father died the next year at 102 years old. They both died in the bungalow they had moved into in 1937, a few years later, for $3,000. 60 years later, my brother and I paid $8,000 to have a shower put in the tiny bathroom. The house had never had one. My father would have died then and there if he knew the shower cost nearly 3 times what he paid for the house. He continued to walk daily. He had me get him a treadmill when he was 100 because he was afraid he'd fall on the icy sidewalks, but he wanted to keep exercising. And he was of sound mind and sound body until the moment he died. One September afternoon in 2004, he and my son went with me when I had to give a talk in a neighboring town. And it was clear to all 3 of us that he was wearing out, though we had the usual wide-ranging conversation about politics, newspapers, and things in the news. A few weeks earlier, he had told my son, "You know, Mike, the first 100 years are a lot easier than the second 100. At one point in our drive that Saturday, he said, "You know, I'm probably not going to live much longer." "You're probably right," I said. "Why would you say that?" he countered, somewhat irritated. "Because you're 102, I said. "Yes, you're right." He stayed in bed all the next day. That night, I suggested to my son and daughter that we sit up with him through the night. He appreciated it, he said, though at one point, apparently seeing us looking gloomy, he said, "I would like to make an announcement. No one in this room is dead yet." An hour or so later, he spoke his last words. "I want you to know," he said clearly and lucidly, "that I am in no pain. I'm very comfortable, and I've had as happy a life as anyone on this earth could ever have." A short time later, he died. I miss him a lot, and I think about him a lot. I've wondered now and then how it was that my family and I were so lucky that he lived so long. I can't figure it out if it was because he walked through life or because he quit taking left turns. Life is too short to wake up with regrets. So love the people who treat you right. Forget about the ones who don't. Believe everything happens for a reason. If you get a chance, take it. And if it changes your life, let it. Nobody said life would be easy. They just promised it would most likely be worth it. enjoy life now. It has an expiration date. So yes, I think we need to embrace every day as a good day. Precious moments in each day. No great drama, just commitment, love, and compassion for each other. Please join me in kansho. Let us love and let us live with kindness and gratitude beyond words. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Brennan, for that wonderful message about not taking anything for granted. And I think I know what my problem is. I've taken too many left turns in my life, so that's why I've probably lost a few years. Please rise for the Gatha, Ondokusan, Gratefulness, which can be found in the purple supplemental service book on page 41. And continue to stand for the Nembutsu, which can be found on page 135 in the red Jodo Shinshu service book.
Oh I sing in praise of Shakyamuni Buddha, who gave us the teaching of Nembutsu. Through this teaching, I place my trust in the assurance of Amida's primal vow, which enables me to live life with courage, strength, and serenity. I treasure the light of the Buddha, which shows me my true reality, my oneness with all that exists. I listen to the teachings of the Dharma, which unfolds to me the naturalness, the suchness, the Buddha-ness with which we are all unfailingly endowed. I cherish the Sangha, which is my true family, nurturing, supporting, sustaining me in this precious, unrepeatable, vow-powered now. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Please be seated. That concludes our service for today. Coming up next, we have announcements with President Dennis.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you, Reverend Barbara. Yeah, left turns are hard. I always try right turns. Thank you, Miles, for being our MC. Thank you, Bob, for being our greeter. Thank you, Lisa, for playing the piano. And Shirley for ringing the kansho. And of course, thank you, Ryan, for recording the service today. Today's refreshment is being provided by Team C, led by Merle. Announcements. Yesterday was the Pride Parade that went from Magic Island to Kapiolani Park. I don't know if you saw the channel KHON. They showed the parade on TV last night. Well, Prudence and I were part of a Honganji contingent. I think there were maybe 10 of us, I'm not real sure. But we were all holding signs and saying Happy Pride to everyone. There was a lot of people watching along the route. Unfortunately, Prudence and I took a shortcut. We didn't quite get to Kapiolani Park. We ended at the International Marketplace where Alan picked us up. I don't think I would have made it. It was harder than I thought, and it was a hot day. Gosh. But it was really nice. Everybody was dressed interestingly. I'll just say that. We are in the midst of our food drive that will support the Hawaii Food Bank. It continues until November 12th. Please leave your donated non-perishable food items in the boxes that's outside the office here. Next Sunday, October 29th, is a regular family service. But because that service is 2 days before a special day, Halloween, children are encouraged to wear their costumes to our service. This applies to kids at hearts too, you know. What about Mike? Parents and grandparents, please let me know who will be dressing up so we can arrange special prizes. Okay. We're also planning to do a movie night. Friday, November 10th is the Veterans Day holiday. Veterans Day is actually the Saturday, the 11th, but Friday is a federal holiday, so we will plan on doing it Friday evening. Usually we start like 5:30. We'll have dinner, and right after dinner we'll do the movie in here. Okay. So we have several movies in mind right now. I'll announce the movie next Sunday. So it'll be primarily geared for the kids, but I think adults, over the years, a number of adults would be in here watching the movies. Most adults are on the other side, just eating and talking story and what have you. On Saturday, November 11th, Moililihong Kanji will be having a fall seminar from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The topic is mental health. The topic is mental health, the most ignored organ in the body, all about mental health. The speaker is Bud Bolts, Executive Director of United Self-Help, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote mental health through education and mutual support. See the flyer that's on the bulletin board for more information, including registration. Reminder, we are planning to visit Jikoen Sunday, November 19th. We will not have service here, but we will be doing carpooling to Jikoen. It's also Jikoen's 85th anniversary celebration. So they're providing lunch. I need to get a count, so please look for that sign-up sheet. We need to make sure we have drivers, and those who cannot drive out, we can join in and one of the drivers. Any questions? Please come and see me. Prudence has announcements about what we're doing after service.
Good morning. As I've mentioned several times before, this is one of our social concerns project. We are making these, they call it Ma'i kits. They will be distributed to homeless children and women because, you know, we think nothing about it, but this is one of, in addition to food, these women and children really need these supplies and they can't afford it. And some children, they found out, were cutting out of school during their periods because they didn't have the supplies. So a group of 3 sisters locally have created this nonprofit group called Ma'i Movement. And they have on their website, you will find the information. It says, make a Ma'i care kit. So anyone that wants to, they're asking that you can purchase the items. They have a special Amazon list, and they tell you how many things, what to do, and then you just drop them off at their office. So we plan to make 100 today, and I've purchased the supplies. They're in the back, and whoever can help after your refreshments, I'll be out here, and then it should go very fast. It's sort of an assembly line. So whoever can help, I'd appreciate your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Prudence. The last time I was here, I missed a few services. Reverend Barbara found this out in the parking lot. Does this look familiar to anyone? Okay. I'll keep it in the office and maybe announce it again next time. Any other announcements? Well, then it's time to eat. Let's do words of thanksgiving, found on page 126 of your red service book. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Itadakimasu. Thank you, everyone.